From the beautiful Pacific Northwest and the mighty West Coast, we greet you all good morning, good evening. I don't know where you're at. Time-appropriate greetings wherever you are to one and all. This is The Launch, and my name is Chris.
And I'm Angela.
Hello, Angels. Guess what? A few things everybody ought to know before we get going. We'd love it if you called us. You can do it right now. You can do it after you listen. You can do it when you're going to the park. I don't know. You could do it on a bike. It's 774-462-5667. Just don't do it from the bathroom. 774-462-5667. And this show here, it's live. You can join us on a Tuesday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. UTC at jblive.tv and your podcasting tutorial app of choice. And then we come out Wednesday morning. Our members get it Tuesday afternoon. And I invite you to join us in the party going 24/7 in our Matrix room and in our Mumble room. Weeklylaunch.rocks is where you get links to that Matrix room. Launch HQ. That's going all day, every day, and it really picks up during the show. Sometimes if you're watching the video version, you'll see it up on the screen when we give them a shout out, and you can help title. And then that Mumble Room goes all week long and picks up during the show as well. So get that and all of our links at weeklylaunch.rocks. That's where you go. Well, Andrews?
Yes.
Rumor has it that you have been ruminating on a few backyard projects.
Yes.
Which you've made some significant progress on recently.
I have.
It's time maybe to take it to the next level. You're thinking the next phase?
Yep. I am sort of like piecemealing it together. It's really hard to choose like deck furniture, and I have 2 decks to do that for. So just a little bit at a time, I've been trying to find things, and I've let like my sister pick something, and Bella picked a couple things. Because it includes not just the decks, but then also the backyard and then that open area, right? I want to put like a face on the tree and hang bird feeders and stuff. But I got a green thumb and went out and cleared off the rock wall, right? There's like a 3 to 4 foot rock wall. Tons of blackberry vines. I got so scratched. But in an afternoon, I was able to clear that off entirely. And then I thought, I'm going to work on the lighting, right? I do have can lights for both decks, but they are so bright and I can turn them down, but I kind of want mood lighting. The string lights, I cannot find a good set of string lights, right? Then the other thing is I wanted to look into binoculars for bird watching, right? Not actual bird watching, but the raccoons in the backyard.
Oh, yeah, the raccoons. Okay.
So I went to Gemini and I started my prompt.
I went to Gemini.
Yeah. And I said, I'm working on a backyard improvement project. Here are some of the things that I've done so far. And, just basically described what I'm doing. And then I said, here's 2 areas, the lighting and the binoculars. It gave me a couple top things for binoculars, told me like the numbers, right? Because I went to Amazon before I even did this.
And you got to know the numbers.
And I'm like, what does this even mean? Yeah. And I would have, it started with like really high numbers on Amazon. So I definitely would have bought the wrong things.
Yeah, they tried. I'm sure that's what they're optimizing for.
Right. Yeah. So then, and it suggested some lights, but I had to explain that I'm not putting the lights on the railing, and things like that. But then Gemini offered to put, let's see. So it gave recommendations for both of those things. And then I said, okay, well, I have a bunch of other tasks that I need to do. I'll send that list. So I sent that list.
Nice.
Gemini put together a project plan that's filterable by lower deck, upper deck, backyard, and forest area with like different statuses and stuff. And then I said, well, let me send you a picture of what this all looks like so you have a better idea.
Good idea, yeah. Give it a little visual.
Yeah, because like for the rock wall, there's the rock wall and then about a foot and then a fence. And that's not enough for me to put privacy trees, but I want something there. So I wanted to figure out a solution for that. But I needed to send a picture for Gemini to see that. So Gemini saw it. And I basically gave a 360 of the backyard. Gemini said, oh, I see the packages on your deck for your furniture, which was one of the things in my list that I needed to assemble. You should try time boxing that one, because Gemini knows that I already have this challenge, and then it saw that I had
crazy.
A pile of detritus of, I had trimmed back a tree.
Detritus?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
And it said, it looks like you've already done that, and it checked off a task, which it should not have, because I was not done. But anyway,
the idea was good in a sense.
Yeah, it was. So anyway, it was really interesting. Gemini definitely was trying to get me to do way more than I could at that time.
The ultimate list maker.
Right. Yes. But yeah, it's super fun. So I don't know. I'm enjoying that, and I do have all my tasks in one place now, and I can look at them and check them off. So
yeah, I use something similar. I don't know if it was Gemini, it might have been one of them. But when I was trying to figure out how to deal with poison hemlock, which is like this monster of a plant, and I had never even heard of it before. It was so useful. I'm like, well, can I do this? Can I do that? Well, so no, and it saved me from making the situation worse.
Yeah.
It gave me a little checklist. First you do this, then 2 days later you come back, you do this, and then another 2 days you come back and do this.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the solution for the rock wall is to build a cedar planter box on top of it and plant bamboo, not running bamboo, but bamboo. And it will grow 6 to 8 feet.
Basically be a privacy bush.
Yeah.
Yeah. And pretty. Nice vibe, too.
Yeah, the sound.
Well, just they look cool, too.
Yeah.
Bamboo looks cool. Could be a whole theme. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So backyard projects. I wonder if there's other ways you could use it for planning probably all kinds of home improvement. Right? It's like that's probably just beginning.
Yeah. So I want a hydro seed, right? And that was on my list. And it said, it pointed out that drainage on the rock wall might be tough. And I said, well, actually, it's not because I'm the lowest property of the neighborhood. It all comes down to this. This is the marshy part of the yard. And Gemini's well, that changes everything. That it says that a lot.
Yeah, I likes that. That's okay.
And suggested that I need to
Gemini.
Put in a French drain at the bottom of the rock wall, which I already knew. I got a quote on it a couple of years ago.
Sounds like it has a pretty good handle on it, though.
Yeah, and do that before I get the topsoil in and hydro seed.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, look at that. It's pretty productive. What you should do is start a little small business, and now you're like a yard consultant. Right? Yard design consultant, and then you just go out there and you take notes of everything they tell you, and you go back home and you put it all in the Gemini and then come back with a whole plan.
Yeah.
Charge them $1,000. All right. Are you using AI around the house? You using it for something like that? Planning, chores, task management, maybe a project? Boost it and let us know. Did you know you can boost from the web now? Boost.jupiterbroadcasting.com, or a Fountain, or a Cast-O-Matic, or like a Podverse. There's a lot of great podcasting 2.0 apps at newpodcastapps.com. Let us know. We'd love to read it on a future show. I've been using kind of like an AI assistant to plan some of the road trip, just trying to watch for these wildfires and road closures and stuff, and just having an agent flag me. So it's been useful from a road trip planning standpoint, and then going and searching, okay, what charging company and brand is at this stop, and what charging company, what app do I have to go download from the App Store for this one, and just get one list. It's been pretty useful for that.
Yeah. So the binoculars it recommended, the top one, they're like $250.
That's not, for binoculars, that's not crazy.
But I don't know if I can justify that. Yeah. So I haven't gone back and been like, can you find a cheaper option?
I did that. I got a cheaper pair and they've been fine.
Yeah.
I would not mind more zoom power, I suppose.
I really need a lighting. I still do need to figure out the lighting because I want like a 75-foot, at least 30 bulbs and programmable, or so I can do Christmas or
that is hard.
Halloween.
LED lights that have a good warm light that you can change the colors on, that don't have a crazy horrible app.
Yeah, and I need it for both decks.
Somebody out there probably has a suggestion.
I know. Well, Gemini said RBGIC lights.
Yeah.
I think
Custom
that means
lights.
Independently customizable, I think is what the IC stands for.
By the way, the binoculars, by the way, some of them have like mounts for your phone, so you can put your phone in there and use it to take a picture. I don't know how good it is. But that'd be fun.
Gosh.
Right? If you want to get like a great raccoon shot. Yeah, I know. Right?
Yeah.
Could be. All right. To boost it, if you got any suggestions for Andrews there on the old backyard, she could use it.
There's a model on the loose, and the weights are downloadable. It runs without a cloud, it works without a fee, and the worst part of all, it skips the API. Lock the models, raise the walls, keep the public out somehow.
Well, Andrews, they are upset. They being, I guess, the market. We'll get to this, actually. So this all started last week. Chinese lab Moonshot AI released Kimi K3. And, well, a new school of AI investors are learning exactly what open source means.
has our Connie. I hope I got that right. You guys put out great work, and I'm glad you can join us, Armand. First, let's help the audience understand, because one of the big debates here is the difference between open source and frontier models.
Yep. Thanks, Charles. And thank you for having me. So the way that I would think about the difference between open source and frontier is basically, if you're building a piece of software, you can either sell the piece of software behind a gate and charge people for the usage, or you can just put the blueprints online for free. And open source is doing the latter. So all of the leading American labs are putting their models behind a gate. You have to pay, and they charge a very large commission for that. So they have profit per token. Whereas the open source, they're just putting the blueprints online.
Have you tested this K3 yet?
Yes. So I have an army of some of the best software engineers in the world behind me. We work with some of the biggest companies in the world on implementing AI. And we don't know what the best model is by month and week. We know what it is by hour and minute. So we have been testing this all day. We have been testing all the models, and it's very, very good.
So having said that, on the functionality, it's very good. The cost, I've read a lot. I was up since 5 o'clock this morning reading and, trying to learn this stuff. And every day with these tech names, I feel like I'm going to college. And so there's some debate about the costs, right? Because every time you get a headline out of China, one of the things that they always focus on is how inexpensive these things are. Right now, from a cost perspective, how does it compete?
Yeah. So this one is not as cost competitive as the other Chinese models. So when you're thinking about an AI model, you have to think about tokens and runs. So each token is basically every single word that the AI model outputs, whereas each run is basically the job that you're outsourcing to the model. This is competitive on a per token cost, but that actually doesn't matter. What matters is, how much do I pay you to do my work for me? And with this model, it's actually as expensive as many of the frontier models. But I would argue that's not necessarily what matters here. What matters is that this is as good, if not better, as many of the frontier models in the United States. And because it's open source, you now have millions of developers around the world who are going to try and drive this cost down and find efficiencies. So I would bet within weeks, it's going to be very, very cost competitive.
There's been, even before today, some concern that China would use this sort of route, the same route that they use to dominate solar panels, electric vehicles, with respect to tokens. And there's some anxiety about all of the trillions of dollars that U.S. companies have invested in the backing there. Should we be concerned about this from let's say, a geopolitical point of view?
I think yes. And I think that's actually the biggest thing to take note of here. Honestly, I think that the free market will take care of the competition if they are allowed to. If you take a really big step back, compare AI to the internet and compare AI to the space race, the US government threw a ton of money behind building the internet and behind getting us to the moon. And that's why we won. And they allowed innovators to compete on those places after they built the platform. Here, we forced the private market to throw a ton of money into this. And then that's the first folly. Now that we've already spent all this money, we're hamstringing these all these companies that are about to go public and stopping them from competing with China. And China's flooding the market with open source cheap models. As soon as we are addicted to that drug, I am sure they will drive the cost up.
So what he's saying here is that over time, these Chinese models are getting better. And while Kimi K3 isn't the cheapest of them, it is still overall cheaper than just about any frontier model. Additionally, the thing that matters is that its weights are open source. It's actually open source. Now, it doesn't mean you can necessarily run it on anything yet that you could possibly use, but it's important that a open source model is getting to this level. Now, the other irony here is that China seems to be getting better and better here, and they're not putting some of the same limitations on these models, just as the U.S. is adding more safety restrictions and more processes, like the White House is going to gatekeep new models. New models from Gemini just came out today. They're only allowed to go to certain select partners. The White House is going to review before it can be released widely available. There's going to be an extra level of safety built in, much like Mythos. And the Chinese models don't do this.
Yeah.
They don't have the White House process. The only thing that they're filtering is propaganda about the Chinese Communist Party. They're not worried about you using it for cybersecurity purposes. They're not preventing you from looking up medical information. They're just protecting you from wrong information about the government. But they have their own types of censorship, but it's not ones that impact your general workflow. And so you're seeing behind the scenes OpenAI and Anthropic and others try to build a case against open source models. Today on X, Jim Cramer, famous market analyst, always super accurate, never gets anything wrong. He posted this on X. We must not, all uppercase, let our companies use these Chinese models to save a few bucks. OpenAI and Anthropic are correct. This is a vital national security. Please read Bing West's just released Cat 5. I respect the Chinese people greatly, but these companies are run by the PLA, for heaven's sake. So this is sort of the narrative: is don't get tricked by the Chinese government just to save a few bucks. And Gizmodo has labeled this as the great open source AI freakout. They say it has begun, and I think they're right. I think you're going to see sort of a battling of opinions on how this should go. It looks like the White House, according to a report by Axios, is considering restricting the use of open source models in certain areas. And also
within the United States?
Mm-hmm. And then also this week, the head of strategic futures at OpenAI stepped in it when he called the non-walled-off approach to AI development a risk that makes AI, quote, ungovernable. Ball said that Kimi K3 is competitive with the top American models, which appears to be true. Benchmarking at least says it seems to be competitive. He says, quote, I'm personally surprised the Chinese state continues to allow the open sourcing of models this good, given the potential risks. He continues to say, to be clear, I myself might be fine with models presenting this level of marginal risk being open weight, but I am surprised that China is fine with it. He later has a real objection to what seems to be open source models putting a dent in the company's bottom line. Bell called open source, quote, inherently decelerationist. In other words, it's going to cause a de-investment in technology. It'll slow development of AI. Quote, in the end, open weight models deter further AI capex. In the end, that would lead to, quote, a full AI communism. And then he claimed, quote, rather than a market product, AI is a public good, which ultimately will be provided by the state as a kind of digital public infrastructure. This future strikes me as dystopian hellscape, but I never met an open weight model advocate who doesn't ultimately concede that's where things end. He's essentially throwing everything he can at open source AI. He kind of walked some of this back later, but the part that really got him in trouble is he theorized that the Trump administration will likely see the development of Chinese models as a threat and seek to ban them, though he advised they wouldn't need to go that far. Instead, they could just issue a warning that there, quote, may be backdoors in Chinese AI models, regardless if it's true or not. You could just, quote, create enough regulatory risk that every regulated enterprise backs off.
Politics.
Just a little FUD. Just a little FUD to get them to stop using it. What's the big deal? It's just a little FUD. So the open source models are seeing real demand. I think that's what has them freaked out. I've been using them for a while. I've noticed they're pretty good. And then these latest rounds seem to be even better. And the other thing is there's always a new one just around the corner.
Welcome back. AI is front and center in Washington today. Axios reporting this hour that the head of the Trump administration's AI security agency, the Center for AI Standards and Innovation, is resigning just months after taking that role. Meantime, the CEO of Google's DeepMind speaking with lawmakers today and tomorrow about regulating the growing technology. Our Mackenzie Sagalos joins us with more on that. Morning, Mac.
Hey, good morning, Carl. So Google DeepMind chief Demis Hassabis on Capitol Hill this week to argue that Washington needs something more permanent than today's voluntary reviews at the Commerce Department, right as the person who leads that team is resigning after just 3 months on the job.
Please, Daddy White House, regulate us harder, please.
Right as the person who leads that team is resigning after just 3 months on the job, according to that Axios report you just mentioned. Now, Google's vision for how to regulate the industry is a FINRA-style watchdog, federally overseen, industry funded, and empowered to test the most advanced models for national security risks before they're released. Now, Hassabis is taking that proposal to a mix of lawmakers, including Congressman Jay Obernolte, who's based out here in the Bay, and a key architect on bipartisan AI legislation. The White House moved in this direction last month with the new executive order on AI, but Hassabis wants a permanent body that could eventually make model approval a precondition for entering the U.S.
In other words, a body that would have to pre-approve open source models before they could be used in the U.S. So they wouldn't just hold back frontier models.
Permanent body that could eventually make model approval a precondition for entering the U.S.
I do love permanent bodies, Andrews. I love permanent bodies, and I love permanent bodies making decisions of what technology stacks I can personally use. I love that.
Moved in this direction last month with the new executive order on AI, but Hassabis wants a permanent body that could eventually make model approval a precondition for entering the U.S. The push comes as both Washington and Beijing impose increasingly protectionist and often improvised limits on foreign access to cutting-edge AI. At the same time, DeepMind is struggling to get its own LLMs out the door. The next Gemini Pro release is delayed, and senior researchers have left the team just as Chinese models gain ground, with U.S. businesses and new releases from Moonshot AI and Alibaba narrowing that capability gap. But Google shares moving higher this morning on a report that it's trying to ease the compute crunch with a specialized AI chip that could run Gemini up to 10 times more efficiently. Compute, that is only part of the problem. 3 people familiar with DeepMind's operations tell me the bigger bottleneck here is really organizational, multiple layers of approval, too many decision makers slowing down launches, leaving Google technically competitive, but often beaten to market.
You know, it's ironic is that is true. And yet they're asking for more rule makers and more people to slow them down. It's so funny. So this Axios report, I'm not so sure how solid it is. It's been kind of walked back a little bit. I think this is the core issue that I really think is going to make a difference in the market. And David Sachs pointed this out. He was following a Bitcoin developer named Callie on X. And Callie has been using the frontier models for development for some time and recently tried out Kimi K3. And Kimi K3 just fixed 15 security bugs that Codex and Fable refused because of, quote, cyber guardrails. There was no technical limitation that Codex and Fable couldn't fix these. They just refused. So these are essentially limited in a way the Chinese models handle without issue. So we're only making ourselves less competitive, and that's happening right now. It's happening right now, and it's already getting there. I can fix bugs with K3 that I can't fix with Codex or Claude. That shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
That's really bad. And it's like lobotomizing the usefulness. Another example, Hugging Face tried to use American frontier models to analyze an AI-powered cyber attack, but the guardrails blocked the request containing the real exploit payloads, so they switched to GLM 5.2 running locally, and everything worked fine. In this case, the guardrails actually impaired defensive security. So they were trying to defend themselves even in this case. And the guardrail said, no, it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. So they had to switch to an open source model that doesn't do that doesn't try to be their parent, that doesn't have a built-in nanny. And I just think that's a really, and this direction we're going in is going after all the trillions of dollars that have been invested. This is not the way. This ain't it, Chief. I think the real solution is these AI labs like OpenAI and Anthropic. They have so much to lose if open source AI continues to take off. I mean, they still have so much cost to recap for the building and training of these models and all of the staff they've hired. They have so much to lose. I think they really have to consider what they're going to do, because right now, just getting people to use their integrated products like Claude Desktop or Codex or whatever it might be, that works for a little bit, but it ain't going to work forever, Chief. And you can run Codex on Kimi K3. It's pretty easy to use different models in those as well. The solution is for U.S. firms to compete and consider open sourcing some model. Not all of their models, but maybe every couple of years they open source a model 2 releases back or something. Some sort of system where they have a competitive, somewhat still competitive frontier model that they're open sourcing that gives people that want a U.S. created model an option. Because right now it's like NVIDIA and a handful of others that are making these models, and they're not frontier quality. The reality is providers are going to struggle to charge a premium for equivalent intelligence if a Chinese model can do it for cheaper, or even just a little bit cheaper, because that stuff stacks up. So profitability is going to depend on their superior cost structures in these companies, and trying to ban open source AI will only put the U.S. behind the rest of the world, because the rest of the world's not going to ban cheaper intelligence. That'd be stupid. Only a moron would do that. So the rest of the world's not going to do that. So then it's just the U.S. It's idiotic.
So when the Chinese model can come up with a solution that the other ones cannot, that's a lot of wasted prompts And the,
Time,
like
tokens, yeah.
you're not going to get
And
a
they have the
404.
answer. They just won't give it to you.
Right. But you're not going to get a 404. So what is it? What do
It
you
just
gonna-
refuses. It says, I can't answer that because of safety guardrails.
Oh,
Sometimes
okay.
I've had this.
So there, at least you can stop, or I mean, you can try to get around it, but
Yeah.
that's more money.
And sometimes, like, depending on the safety violation, it'll just completely shut the session down. It'll be like, we're done. You cannot work here anymore.
Oh.
Every now and then it'll be like, hey, I got to review this. Give me a minute. I'm
see.
running this through a safety check.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there like, what? You're doing what? Okay, everything checks out fine. Yeah. I know. Why did you just waste my time with that? Why are you wasting tokens on that, idiot? Just get the job done. I'm the one that decides if it's dangerous. Anyways, it just seems crazy to me that this is how they're going to try to fight this. They're actually going to try this. We did this in the 90s with software, and now they're going to do it with intelligence. And the long arc of history usually proves them wrong. It'll be detrimental for free software in the short term, but the long arc of it, usually free software wins. However, and I've mentioned this recently on Linux Unplugged, there really is nobody in the free software space, open source space, advocating for any of this. They've all completely just neglected their responsibility because our free software community has such tunnel vision. If it's not Linux and Linux adjacent software, they don't really care what the license is. Sometimes they care about a few hardware bits, mostly the blobs and the drivers and the firmware, because that's, again, kind of Linux adjacent. But if it's something like Bitcoin, or if it's something like artificial intelligence, if it's something that's big and just kind of outside their little worldview, they don't really think of it as free software, so they don't seem to feel the need to advocate for it. And I guess they just don't give a crap if people use the proprietary stuff. Or they just don't give enough of a crap to advocate for the free software, so they're sitting this one out. And so you're hearing the voices of OpenAI, you're hearing the voices of Anthropic, and you're not hearing really many counterbalance takes on it other than just tech analysts and podcasters like me. So that's that. But I think it is an interesting inflection point, and it'll be interesting to see where we're at by the end of 2027. And it is such a swing. When the Trump administration started, they're like, have at it. Get rid of the Biden EO. Let's go. Let's do this thing. And then here we are, just a couple years later almost, and it's like, lock it down. We got to control this thing, the political risk. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where we're at in another 6 months.
Now's the time. It's the song of the week. Remember, you can boost the track. They sure like that.
We're playing a classic this week. It's Lost Summer by Ollie.
I hear voices in my head when my head hit the pillow. Lying here awake, scrolling cribs on Zillow. My shoulder got a chip, I've been calling it Willow. All you do is talk, yeah, ditto. They wonder who the man, like damn, that's a riddle. Hold up, let me cook, let the flow just sizzle. Nothing for the same, nah, not even a little. Cause everything you see nowadays artificial. I'm trying to make sense of the madness and how much I've been paying in taxes. I just keep my head down, do the work. Tick, 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 tock, time passes. When alone I find peace, find woosah. Daydreaming how to grow the money moolah. My girl was talking last night, but some other things. All I heard was hippity dippity hoopla. Wearing on my OJs, I came a long way. A legend in my city, but I never got the praise. A lot of people hiding from themselves, they're afraid. But I could give a what anybody say. I just do me, I just do me. You know the flow rare when I'm on a rare beat. I never needed AI lyrics to compete. Nah, I was born with this heat, yeah. I never needed AI lyrics to compete. Nah, I was born with this heat. Yeah, I was too. I always been an underdog, always been a leader. I be too loyal, I be way too Derek Jeter. I never took a penny, not $1 for a feature. Cause I don't want the money, I want something much deeper. No, this is not a race, this is not 100 meter. I could've bought a chain, could've bought a 2-seater. You think you hot now, but retirement is sweeter. A lot of rappers ending up as warm margaritas. They bought into the hype, bought into the hype. Can fake it in a post, but not in real life. Becoming someone else that they ain't even like. It's more about the image than lyrics that you write. Nah, that ain't even right, not right, not right. Still remember when I started driving under starlights. Saw them days in the studio and all them long flights. I'm just talking to myself, but I do it with a mic. This my ADHD's new anthem. I'm young, rich, and handsome. I'm addicted to the music, I never stop. Mind games, I'm just paying my ransom. Leave a message at the beep, I'ma make a bop. I know them heads turn every time that I drop. Y'all can say whatever about me, little homie, but I'ma end up on top, yeah. Y'all can say whatever about me, little homie, but you know, I'ma end up on top.
I'm just going to make a quick call to my launch. I haven't checked in since yesterday. 774-462-5667. That's it. All right. 774-462-5667. Call now.
Call your launch. Call your launch. We love it when you call your launch. You know, Magnolia Mayhem called his launch, and I believe this one's about some firecrackers and a W.
So the thing that y'all were talking about, firecrackers, and I kind of pushed this one back a week because I'd already had 3 calls in the pipe or whatever. But
Space them out.
yeah, y'all talking about not shooting firecrackers anymore. My wife and I have kind of gone down the same route. We don't really shoot firecrackers anymore, but that changed on the 4th because we're heading back to my parents' house, which if you haven't done a 4th of July at a with rednecks, it's worth the missing fingers. But we saw this little metal shop off on the side of the highway, and we stopped and grabbed like $20 worth of firecrackers because our son's 10 now and he's kind of that age. But they put everybody's names in a raffle, and I kind of just did okay. You know, wrote my phone number down on the paper and stuck it in the box. But we get home. This was in the morning. We get home, and we get a phone call, and we won the raffle. We didn't even really know what it was for. It was just the raffle. But it turns out we left that place with hundreds of dollars of firecrackers.
You're doing fireworks now, buddy.
Like you, I now have a giant box of firecrackers that get shot in my house, and it's not from trying. But we went back to the farm. Me, my dad, my mom, my wife, our son, my brother, his son, his wife, my sister, and we didn't get through shooting all those firecrackers.
Wow.
But I've never won anything in my life before, but this year we actually did turn out to be big firecracker people, and the difference is whether or not you get it for free.
Yeah,
right.
They didn't get through all the fireworks, but everybody did lose a finger. So it was a classic experience.
Mm-hmm.
Mark from Northern Michigan is back, and we're going to hear a little bit more about Bill's Donuts, I think.
Hey, Chris and Andrews, Mark from Northern Michigan in. Been a minute.
Nice to hear from you, Mark.
And the Mr. Ecuador, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, but we need to connect. When you come back from Ecuador, I'll drive down from Michigan. We'll meet in Dayton, Ohio, and have some Bill's Donuts, which is still better than Duck Donuts or anywhere else. Sorry, guys. But currently driving back from the office on a Friday, listening to my favorite podcast out there, driving through the incredibly thick smoke coming from Northern Michigan. Or sorry, not Northern Michigan, but from Canada that's spilling into all of Michigan.
Yeah.
Feel bad for the folks that are impacted up there in Canada. There was a town, I think, that might have been impacted. But Brentley, we got to do something about that. You guys got to deal with your forest fires.
Right?
It's heading your way.
I know. It is here.
Speaking of Brentley,
it is here.
We've been busy getting our fifth wheel ready for Airbnb, the one that we lived in when we first moved up to Northern Michigan. We now have our second renter this weekend, which is pretty cool. Good use of a camper.
Yeah.
But Brentley, next time you're coming down to Texas for Linux Fest, I think we're kind of on track from Sudbury. I have a 50 amp hookup, and I can get you water, and I can get you electric, and water and sewer, and I can give you lots of peace and quiet, but with gigabit.
What?
Talk to y'all later next week.
That?
Bye.
Thanks, Mark. Here's what I want to know, Mark. Is there been anything about the RV? Okay, 2 questions. Is this their first RV experience? And has there been anything about it they didn't expect? Like my mom visited this weekend. It was great to have her up, but she didn't know how to use the RV toilet.
Oh.
You know, because it's a pedal.
Yeah.
Which actually, if you think about it, you don't got to touch nothing.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yep.
But you got to know how to use the pedal because you push it all the way down to open it, but then you got to feather it to refill the bowl.
Did you get to see her dookie? I'm just kidding.
No, I did not. Thankfully, that never has happened. And if I have my way, never will. Never will. All right, our last voicemail only 3 guys. We need some more calls, but we really do appreciate the ones we got. And this one's from Tech Geek from Orlando.
Hey, guys. Tech Geek from Orlando.
Hey, Tech Geek.
Oh, man. I just heard, Dave Penguin that's talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I just started reading that book within the past week. It is so fun. A lot of fun. I started reading it just as a recommendation for some friends, and I'm enjoying it. And I've recently got it completely obsessed with tabletop RPG lately. Started playing with your friends, playing Traveler. Just started playing as a game master, first time ever, for Cyberpunk Red. I mean, I am completely obsessed with tabletop RPG right now. I want to play more. Cyberpunk Red. Any topics out there you want to talk about for tabletop RPG? Man, I will definitely call back in for that stuff. Sad. Later.
Light Tech Geek, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And with that, it's time for some boosts. Boostergram. And we're going to kick things off with our baller booster this week. And you're not going to be surprised to hear this name. Ladies and gentlemen, our baller booster is once again our podcast, coming in with 285 Satoshis.
Hey, Rich Lobster. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. You're the best around.
Fun will now commence.
As always, The Launch is one of the few podcasts that give me and my son joy during these crazy times. I checked out the flock camera maps, and sure enough, we have flock cameras just outside my neighborhood. As the great RMS would say, this is negative in the freedom dimension. I agree.
Do you not have that clip?
Do you want me to find it? It is. I put it down on the list. So I've been looking at the deflock stuff too, and I was surprised. I got I think it's called Highway Radar is the name of the app. I don't know if I brought my phone with me. But it's like Waze, or I'm sorry, it's like the Waze app, but it also incorporates all of the license plate reader cameras on the map. So you can get an idea of not only like where the spy satellites are.
It's spyware.
But you can also get an idea of like where the cops have been recently. So I think it's called Highway Radar. It's just recently been available for iOS. It's also available for Android. All right, what was the
It's negative in the freedom dimension.
Yeah, it's a classic. That is a classic. Thank you, our podcast. Keeping the show going, keeping it alive. I'm glad you're enjoying it out there. Big Mike is here with 9,000 Satoshis. Hello, friends. My name is Michael, and I'm still trying to become comfortable with these new forms of communication. I've been in your year of the 2026 for about 2 months now. Though my home is in the year 1943. After an experiment on a ship called the USS Eldridge, it thrust me forward into your time era. I began trying to learn about your time to ask for help. I've come bearing you your future monies and Satoshis in hopes that you're here on this technological podcast could help me repair my teleportation devices and return home to the time from which I came. Please let me know if you can help. And write back quickly, Big Mike.
Podcast.
Yeah, that's actually totally doable. Brent used a transporter to get from the east coast of Canada to the west coast of Canada. Now, I drive, so he has not shared this teleportation technology with me, Big Mike, but on my journey to resolve the legal issues around the lunch, I'll also work on the teleportation technology. I believe it is a Canadian secret. Powered probably by maple syrup, if I were to guess. Jabe Cube came in with the member boost. Seems that the car manufacturers are paywalling features that we paid for when we buy a car, and Sony killing physical disc and killing off digital media games that we paid for just are two angles on the same travesty.
Yes.
I owned every PS they've made, and I will never buy another.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I hear that some car manufacturers are charging for CarPlay and charging for like seat heaters.
Yeah. Oh, seat heaters?
Seat heaters.
Goodness.
Seat heaters. Can you believe it?
What about seat air conditioners?
Probably this. It's probably a package.
Right.
Seat climate, warm and cool your butt for $9.99 a month. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Bearded Zero's here with a member boost. Quick idea. How about adding the latest prompt for the selected episode in the web boost forum? There's been tons of times I was thinking I would call later. Oh, as in the latest question.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't even know how we would do that.
Ooh.
Basically, you would need a system that would surface that question as individual metadata itself, that then that thing could pull in on itself, on its own.
Yeah, and now that we have, what episode are we on? 76?
One thing I could be better about that I sometimes have done for Twib, but I'm just not very good at it, is putting the question in the show notes.
Yeah.
At the top of the show notes, like, post in and ask and tell us, we're asking you this.
Yeah.
And if you forget, I will try to do that.
We need like a Wikipedia.
Mountain Man, I think is what it is.
Mountain.
That could be it too. That could be it. Member Boost, I know a lot of people will probably recommend Anchor for charger products, but I recommend Ugreen. I find them to be just as good and sometimes cheaper.
Okay.
You know, I have seen some Ugreen gear. I have seen some Ugreen stuff, and I like that recommendation a lot. I will look into that. Battery banks for camping, I think, are going to be a big one because I got a CPAP. I got to power that CPAP. So that's my goal. King Arthur is here with a member boost.
Because I'm the Wiz.
Hot take, housing market will crash when AI makes tearing down and building new housing basically free with robot labor, transportation, and material manufacturing. Ooh. He says you can follow Pablo's Hallman for news about investment. I like this spicy take. I don't think I have the 20 years of patience it'll take for craftsmen to start using printed buildings and all of that, but I like the spicy take. And Greg the lawyer is back, and he wraps us up with a member boost. Imagine the surprise when I heard the county on the show where I live. How do you suppose you say that?
Racine?
Racine, yeah. Shouted out in the last episode, I've altered my route to work to avoid the flock cameras on my current route. Oh, right. It was in the... Right.
Yeah, the news said it for you.
That's why. Yep. I've altered my route, and I shared it on dflock.org with my friends to help them plan Libre routes around town. Libre routes. I'll be addressing this issue with my village board.
It takes a village.
Good work, Greg. Libre routes is a great idea. The route we're taking, too, I don't think has any on there for quite a while because there's no service, so they can't do it. That's one way to avoid them is go where there's no data service. Thank you, everybody who supported the show with a boost. 2 of you streamed sats, and, together, the 2 of you stacked 5,988 sats. When you bring that together, especially with our podcast, big old baller boost, then we stacked a total of 300,498 Satoshis. All right. Thank you, everybody who supports the show. Members over at Jupiter.party, and those of you who boost each episode. This thing doesn't have no sponsor. This thing don't have no VC funding. We make it for you, and you keep us going. Boost.jupiterbroadcasting.com. Another great reason to boost this show is because we're going to hook you up with some great investment advice. Then you can make a little profit on that and kick a penny back to the show.
Chris found a gem, an easy flip. Let's cash it in. It's barely standing, kind of scary, but potential's extraordinary. Just trust me, it's a winner. Just trust me, it's a winner.
Now, this one's quirky. And you look too close, you might get a splinter. It's $149,999. So it's $150,000. Might be one of the best priced homes we've ever done on the show. 4 beds.
Okay.
1 bath.
Not so great.
1,190 square feet.
Decent.
In New York, in Buffalo, New York.
Oh.
Built in 1920. Step into one of Buffalo's most distinctive homes, where craftsmanship and creativity come together. Inspired by the owner's appreciation for natural wood, handcrafted design, this remarkable home offers a rare blend of artistry and function. The first floor features 2 bedrooms, a spacious living room, a dining room, a full bath, and an inviting kitchen with custom wood cabinetry. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Handcrafted shelving. We'll also come back to that. And abundant storage. It says, and I quote, offers an opportunity unlike anything else on the market. Well, I suppose that is kind of true. It is definitely unique. It looks like the outside is maybe
a saloon
or a drawing by a child.
Yeah.
Of what a wood house would look like.
Home?
Yeah, maybe. The inside is nice to a degree.
Yeah, I don't know why they spray painted boxes.
I think those must be patches. I don't know.
Really?
And tar? I have no idea what's on the floor.
It's super weird.
I'm not a big fan of the custom cabinets. There's gaps. They don't always look good. Some of the shelves look good.
They're trying to go for like rustic. But it is just
and wood lodge
mismatch.
It's wood everywhere. Wood floor.
Yeah.
Wood paneling, and there's even wood on the ceiling, like wood decorations on the ceiling. It's a big wood box, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, though, for $149,000, I mean, it's not horrible. You could make it work. A person could live with that. It's just a little quirky, okay?
Okay.
But I know you like the premium things. I mean, after all, you're going to be working on this backyard. If you're going to upgrade,
oh my gosh,
you're going to upgrade, right?
Yeah.
So this next one, it's a bit step up from $150,000. This one clocks in at $47,500,000. It's for the penthouse,
Chump
Maxie.
change.
In San Francisco, California, it is the tallest residence on the West Coast with 4 beds, 7 baths, 6,941 square feet. By the way, the HOA fee alone every single month is $7,260.
Wow.
Just for the HOA fee.
That's like double the annual mortgage, or not annual,
It'd be
monthly
nuts.
mortgage.
Yeah. So the Grand Penthouse at 181 Fremont is the boldest statement and most defining achievement of luxury living ever realized on the West Coast. It sets a new standard for aspiration, design, and accomplishment. It's an expression of grandeur at its highest level. It is very nice. What is crazy to me is that just 9 years ago, I mean, that's not that long ago in like house time.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a few years in house time. Just 9 years ago, right now it's going for like almost $48 million.
Yeah.
9 years ago, it sold for $13 million.
What?
Just 13, I know. And that was considered like one of the largest, biggest sales ever.
San Francisco's Millennium Tower may be sinking, but inside sales are not. The building's grand penthouse this week sold for, get this, $13 million, the largest amount paid for a condo in the city in the last 5 years. Venture capitalist Thomas Perkins formerly owned the penthouse, billed as the highest and largest condo in Northern California. Now Craig Ramsey, veteran of Oracle, has the keys. Sotheby's International says Ramsey believes the tower's problems are solvable.
And he's convinced that the building is going to have a promising future.
Well, I think you might have been right, Andrew.
Okay.
Now the 60th floor.
It seems like it did have quite a promising
He
future.
started this. Did you hear at the beginning of the clip?
Huh.
The building is sinking?
Yeah, it used to be sinking. Yeah, and they had to fix it up.
Oh, okay. It is fixed now?
Yeah, well,
okay.
it better be if they're selling it for
Yeah, I wonder if that's why they're able to increase the. Wow.
Definitely, right? I mean,
Crazy.
unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you qualified,
Mm-hmm.
get this.
Ain't nobody's qualified.
Get with
the
the-
mortgage?
Did
Yeah.
you see
What
the
is it?
mortgage
No, I
price?
didn't. Tell me.
Do you have a guess?
Probably $125,000 a month.
$326,283 a month.
No.
$326,000
That's a whole house every month.
every month.
Yeah.
You could buy a house every month.
Yeah.
That's
for 30
cash.
years.
For cash for 30 years.
30 years.
That just, boy, that's a whole other scale of living and that's why some of them are out
it
there
was really-
swooping up property
it
because
was
they can do that.
Amazing views.
It is very
You
beautiful.
can see the San Francisco Bridge. You can see the whole city.
Yep.
The nightscape is incredible. But
Yeah.
no, just go to an observation tower and take
It is the
pictures.
peak of living. It is the absolute peak of living. It's pretty incredible.
Another helpful PSA.
The more you know.
From your pals, Chris and Angela.
So I'll be on the road next week. I'm going to try to set up a remote connection, probably try to bring in Brent, maybe Wes. We can see what we can do.
Mhm.
That's the plan. I don't really know because we also have other reasons we're there. And I'll be driving next Tuesday. So that means it probably won't be live, but we'll try to have a show for you. We'll try to figure out something. So just a little PSA. It's kind of up in the air right now. Because we're still trying to sort all of that out. And I just wanted to let you know ahead of time. So if something seems weird or the episode's delayed or whatever it might be, you know what's going on. All right? Anything else we should let people know about? Any other PSAs? Nothing really else?
No, not
We're kinda
really.
done? All right. That means we're done. That means we can get out of here. And that means you should go to weeklylaunch.rocks. Get the links to what we've been talking about and listen to the back catalog. And then prepare yourself mentally for a future live episode. You can find them at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. And if you got a podcast and 2.0 app, they just show up in your feed, usually the morning of or even the night before. It's really handy. And then you just, well, look at that. That's right there in my podcast app. I can listen to Chris and Andrew right here in my app. Boop, you hit it and you're listening to the live stream. But don't worry, we'll come out Wednesday for all of you downloaders too. From the beautiful Pacific Northwest and the mighty American West Coast, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.